Okay. So I want to just thank you guys for showing up tonight. And I know people are calling in from all over the world, which is so fun. And we all also everything's very universal right now. Everything is very, very relatable right now as far as the actual occurrences that are happening around us. And what's happening on internally is going to determine very much of our own personal experience. So for those of you that do coach with me, are currently coaching with me, you have an idea of the way I coach and the things I speak about. And we've been practicing that new languaging, if you will, the shift of perspective and gaining new insight and ways of looking through our lens of life. For those of you that are new, you may hear things that you already see, you already believe, you already live this way. You might hear things that also trigger you. And I will invite you again and again to just all of us to be as open-minded as we can, to recognize that we are very limited as human beings. We come to the table with our own personal thinking in all moments. And when we give ourselves permission to have an open mind, it can open up a wisdom inside of ourselves that we weren't even available sometimes because our own thinking can get really loud. So that's a lot of what tonight is going to be. It's going to be looking at the isness, very little, and then looking at what's possibility, what's beyond the isness, meaning what we can see with our eyes. So I do want to just also do a few things. I want to light a candle, and I'm going to light a candle, and we'll go into this, but I'm going to light a candle intentionally for the energy of light. The energy of light is an embodiment of one of the highest frequencies. Enlightenment is considered the highest frequency. And so this is a representation that we coming here together represent the light, that we hold and embody the essence of light, that we may use the energy of light to send out to one another that is on the call, and to send out to everyone in the world during this time. So I will keep the candle burning through this whole time. I also want to play a meditation that it's 8 minutes long. And if you're driving, please don't close your eyes. If you are not driving and if you feel comfortable and safe and you can drop into yourself, please do. This is a fantastic meditation. I will also send it in the email that I send you with the recording. And his name is Steve Noble, and he has a plethora of meditations online. And this one really speaks to me, especially during this time. So, so sit back and enjoy. Can everyone hear? Okay.
Yes.
I am a free sovereign being. I activate the full power and resonance of my being. I am a vast being of light, not limited by time or space. I am connected to the great web of life. My consciousness is spacious. I am expanding beyond all limits. I am a free sovereign being. I own my power. I own my light. In this time of ascension, I am called to move beyond all chaos of the earth plane. I do this through recognizing my true nature as expansive light. I am done wasting my time with beings or situations that are bound by limitation and suffering, those who do not choose to live in the light. I'm a free sovereign being. I own my power. I own my light. I have grown within the limits of this world, but now I am done with all limitations. I am waking up from the illusions and deceptions of this 3D world. All limits are illusionary. I am remembering my true nature. My true nature is light. My true nature is spaciousness. I remember my true connection to God, Goddess, all that is. With every breath, I remember my true nature as expansive light, as expansive love, as expansive joy. I'm a free sovereign being. I own my power, I own my light. In each and every situation, I ask my higher self and all high frequency beings working with me to assist me in remembering my connection to the light. As a free sovereign being, I ask for a divine dispensation to dissolve anything in my energy fields that is working against my awakening, against my authentic being, against my soul mission. I am a free sovereign being. I own my light. I own my power. I am light. I am love. I am freedom. My mind is fluid light. Every thought is infused with the light and bliss of my soul. All beliefs are being upgraded in the light of love. All stories are being upgraded into higher frequencies of possibility. My mind is soaring beyond all limits imposed by the matrix. I dissolve all limiting agreements and rules. I no longer play the binding game of limitation. I'm a free sovereign being. I own my power. I own my light. I am light. I am love. I am freedom. My heart is fluid, expansive light. My heart is expanding beyond all bindings. I dissolve anything binding my heart to conflict or drama, limitation in any form. Love does not seek to bind another. I release all binding from my blood family and my soul family. I grant my heart the gift of freedom. I release all old energies within my heart that generates any sense of limitation. I am a free sovereign being. I own my power. I own my light. I am light. I am love. I am freedom. My body is the sacred temple of the bright flame of my spirit. As the ascension process unfolds, more of my light is downloaded into the body. My hormonal system is being upgraded to hold this increase in light. My digestive system is being upgraded to hold this increase in light. My nervous system is being upgraded to hold this increase in light. My reproductive system is being upgraded to hold this increase in light. I'm a free sovereign being. I own my power. I own my light. I am light. I am love. I am freedom. My chakra system is now being upgraded to hold more light. In my base chakra, I am safe, secure, and stable. I am deeply rooted within myself. I have a right to be here. I am connected to my body. My body is holy ground. In my sacral, I own my creativity, my emotional power, my sexual energy. I have a right to feel pleasure. I allow myself to feel pleasure. I love all aspects of my physical body. Life is joy. Life is flow. In my solar plexus, I own my power, my courage, my boldness, my tenacity. I have a right to be powerful. I am the architect and also the scriptwriter of my life. In my heart, I forgive myself and others. I feel at one with the kingdoms of nature. I have a right to be here, to love and be loved. I am balanced. I am part of a great network of star seeds across the planet. In my throat, I activate the full resonance of my voice. I have a voice that needs to be heard. I am authentic. I live with integrity. I communicate my thoughts and feelings easily. I share my wisdom and insights with others. I am truth. In my third eye, I have a right to see deeply into the nature of my reality. I am connected to my inner guidance. I am connected to the higher wisdom within my higher self. I am a clear and pure channel for inspiration. In my crown, I am one with the universe. I have a right to know and experience my true nature as a divine child of the universe. I am one with my infinite, multidimensional self. I am infinity. I am a free, sovereign being. I own my power. I activate the full power and resonance of my being.
And when you feel ready, open up your eyes. And if you want, please turn back your video on. Take a deep breath and let it out. So just do a little scan on yourself and check in to see how you're doing, just in this moment. Offer yourself your presence. And notice if in presencing yourself, to one another, if there was a shift at all. Not that there has to be, just become aware. So what I want to first speak about is, and I'm going to speak again to some of you that know me and some of you that do not, but that over this, what I've witnessed over these years is, and for some of you, this may have, and I know it has happened, where we've had our own personal life experiences inviting us to really stretch and move through huge transitions. Whether this has been ending significant relationships in our lives, death of loved ones, or loss of a job or income, or even working with significant health issues or body things or accidents, severe accidents, which change the way you even operate in life. And so these things that may have initiated you to start to become aware, which invited you to be uncomfortable and to be uncomfortable in life, have, if you notice or you remember, or if you witness them in somebody, that they can start to really at first trigger our survival tendencies, right? Our kind of, if we find that in those moments of challenge, we recognize these parts of ourselves that go to the place of the oh shit meter goes way up in life. And then as we start to navigate through these challenges that we have in our lives, whatever it is, that we start to learn to be with ourselves in different ways. We start practicing responding to life in different ways. So what I've experienced and what I've witnessed is what happens is when these things happen in our lives, that we have these challenging situations and we move through them and maneuver through them, that we start to have a more heightened awareness of patterns and tendencies that we personally have that don't necessarily serve us anymore. And that in order to cope with this new way of being, whether it's a marriage ending or a job changing or health issues, that there's an invitation for a new part of us to be birthed. And when a new part of us is birthed, that means there often is a letting go of a certain way of being that doesn't serve anymore. And this transition period is very uncomfortable for a number of reasons. One is because we're extremely identified and attached unconsciously or consciously to these old behaviors. We're unconsciously wired thinking that actually these behaviors, which are often either survival or learned pattern behaviors in us, are useful. Like we actually need them. And actually, who would we be without them? So all of these things start to come up in our lives when we start to go through. And this, to me, is a part of an awakening process. And that is so much. And what I'm going to offer you guys tonight is my perspective on what's occurring out there in the world right now. So I want to be really clear that I'm not pretending to be an expert about this, about what's happening right now about the virus. But what I can say is that I'm actually what I am an expert at, if you will, is that I'm an expert in watching pattern behaviors and supporting people move through different transitions in their lives. So I know people, and I believe that we are in a very awakened time, and we are living in a very awakened time, and we are being asked to almost step up to a new level of being, a new way of being in the world. So a lot of you know this. I'm just going to recap this quickly. The way in which I see life, and I live life very energetically. When we break life down to living life energetically, it's easiest to break it down to two things. We have energy that's catabolic, it's heavy, it's dense, it breaks things down. It doesn't feel good in our bodies. It's feelings like worry, anxiety, fear, overwhelm, judgment, anger. And anabolic is energy it's lighter, it's faster, it moves faster. And this energy it builds things up, and it's feelings like joy, ease, peace, compassion. And it's only in our humanness that we judge catabolic as energy as negative, as bad, because it doesn't feel good, and anabolic energy is good, when the actuality of it is that it's just energy. Everything is energy. And so we live in a world as human beings with this beautiful thing called the ebb and flow of life. It's contraction and expansion. So so what happens is that if you pay attention to, or when we pay attention to the seasons, right? The seasons ebb and flow, right? The wintertime, it becomes more dark. We go more inward. The trees start to die in the fall time. And the spring, it starts to expand. And so that's what happens in life. And what happens is that in the ebb or in the contraction, it can be chaotic. And I think I look at it sometimes as that it's necessary in order to have chaos or breakdown in order to come to a homeostasis, a balance. It's the kind of natural evolution, organic evolution of how things can unfold sometimes. You know, you think about the pressure of creating a diamond. You think about how a snake, in order to shed its skin, has to rub up against something. And so it's a removing of what no longer is serving in order to evolve to the next level. So this is a hard thing for people to hear. I think often as I witness people when they are actually in and experience themselves going through change and challenge. Now take it upon us, something that actually is affecting our day-to-day. It's affecting our lives in every way. The grocery stores, whether or not we go to work, whether or not we have a job, our health, the healthcare system, right? All of this is out in the world. And I'm not going to talk about the logistics or anything else right now. I'm going to talk about the perspective, because I think it's sometimes in the logistics that we can get very lost. So being that everything's energy, that means that our thoughts are energy, our words are energy, our bodies are energy, everything is energy. Our ideas are energy, our actions we take are energy, and everything resonates at a certain vibrational frequency. Well, in addition to that, we live in a world that's energetic. So that means that we can amplify, we're constantly amplifying the energies of others around us. So what I mean by that is we're taking it in. Almost imagine like your body is a sponge. And so all of a sudden when we already live in a very catabolic world. We're also hardwired as human beings because of our survival. We're hardwired to live, to be catabolic. Now add on top of that, chaos on a global level. That's a lot of catabolic energy. It's heavy, it's dense. And so the thing that I know about catabolic energy is that it doesn't feel good. And so what it does, again, is it breaks things down. And so you have enough of it, you feel enough of it, and the frequency that is around you or you're experiencing out in the world is that. It's more catabolic. So I want to tell you a story because there's a quote. It's the main quote in A Course of Miracles, which is, a shift of perspective is a miracle. And there's a few things I want to share around this. I'll just tell you my story about my own experience. And the reason why I like to tell stories for those of you that don't coach with me is sometimes we're so enmeshed in our own world that we can't really see the forest between the trees. Meaning that we're so just bogged down by our own isness, like our own thinking about what's occurring around us, that's all we can see, that it's hard to get a different perspective in that moment. And so sometimes story, and I'm also sharing this with you for when you share with others in life or other people around you are challenged. Sometimes when you take them out of their own selves, they have the opportunity to see something different. So whenever I tell story, there's an invitation for you to almost take a step back from your life so you can look at it from a bird's eye view and then maybe have new eyes when you see your own story. Okay? So this breakdown for me, it's happened a few times in life, but the most recent was when I was diagnosed with Lyme disease 3.5 years ago. And when I was first diagnosed, I identified myself with it. It was who I was. Everything about me was Lyme. If I had a headache, oh, it must be Lyme. Oh, I can't do that, I have Lyme. Everything was about Lyme. And my focus on it only continued to keep me in that state of that I was a victim to it. My perspective was I was a victim to it. My perspective of life was that life was really hard and challenging. And now I had to walk around with this meanwhile, I've had it since I was 10. I've walked around with this compromised immune system. So, oh my gosh, well, my focus is on the fact that I have a compromised immune system. That means everything that was around me, I had to be constantly aware. It was like being like a glass, one of those glass people. I don't know. I'm thinking of like those little glass dolls or whatever. Like that's what it was like. And I started to realize that after, I just didn't realize, like, I had no energy. I could barely work for 2 years. I couldn't do much of anything. And what I started to see was that maybe Lyme disease was an invitation to start learning a new way of being. Maybe there was an opportunity for me to learn how to move through life in a way that would be more fueling and filling for me. And that's what I started to do over time, is I started to just see how, wait a minute, maybe maybe this is a chance to tend to and live this thing called life very differently. And I had a new thought one day in the spaciousness for my personal thinking of there's a problem, there's a problem, there's a problem, there's a problem. And in the spaciousness, I had a new thought, and the new thought was, what if I had Lyme for the rest of my life? I can either suffer or I can befriend it. And that new thought for me changed everything. It opened me up. And I started to become less and less of a victim of this thing that happened to me. And I just learned to live life differently. I started to learn to tend to life differently. And I started to look at it as I had a choice. It wasn't that I couldn't do certain things, because I could. It would just maybe be a force for me, but it was a choice. And so through these choices and this new perspective, life started to become light again. And I really didn't even know if life being light was possible. So what I'm pointing to here is just this moment of recognizing right now. Well, let me backtrack for a moment. The only place we experience consciousness is through our thinking. And I know that, again, those of you that coach with me, you know that this is a constant thing I turn to, but the only way we experience life is through our thinking. That's it. So if I think about energy, and I think about how I'm amplifying pretty much everyone around me in all moments, and all of us have over 70,000 thoughts in a day, that means that most of the thinking that's happening in the world right now is pretty darn catabolic, first of all. So that means a lot of the thoughts that I start to take in are not my own. And if I start to think a lot of heavy thoughts over time, I'm going to start to feel like crap. And then I realize what happens is I start to feel like crap, and then, oh my God, wait, my throat hurts a little bit, because I know that's one of the things. And oh my God, wait, hold on a second, I'm having a hard time breathing when I walk up the stairs. Or oh my God, now my head's starting to hurt. And the catabolic energy starts to weigh me down. Can anybody relate? Okay. So now, some of us are a little bit more conditioned where we're not as influenced. So I'm talking to a lot of different levels of people. When I say levels, I don't mean better, by the way, but I'm just saying our level of influence is heightened and others aren't. Some of you might be more influenced by what's occurring and what people are saying, and that's normal, totally normal. And some of you may not be. So again, this might not be for you directly when it comes to the influential piece. For me, I'm highly influential, highly. And it's something I've learned to navigate this life with. One of those ways that I've learned to navigate it is with Lyme. It's taught me to have healthier boundaries. It's taught me to be aware of who I'm choosing to spend my energy and my time with. As far as I'm concerned, my energy is my commodity. That means that the energy with which I'm experiencing in a moment, if it's heavy and it's catabolic, and that's what I know, that when I feel catabolic, when I'm experiencing a lot of catabolic energy, most likely the actions I'm going to take are going to be of a lower frequency. The things I'm going to say are probably going to be of a lower frequency. And so now it's not a problem. But you start stacking stuff on enough and enough and enough again and again and again, I'm going to experience life very differently than if I were in an anabolic state. So with all of this occurring, I'll just tell you what went down for me. Again, to take you out of you for a second. I'm in Mexico. And I have been in touch and getting emails still and having clients for people that are in the United States. And what's happened over the past few weeks is that things have started to shift quickly, rather quickly in the United States. And I don't need to go into details. You're all pretty much, or most of you are pretty much living it. And then I had a friend come down to visit me during that time. And this was when the quick shift happened. And it wasn't heavy on my mind because at that moment, it wasn't more than just a little conversation here and there in Mexico. And my friend came down and a bunch of stuff happened when he came down. He came down and his mind was really heavy on the virus, really heavy. So it was a topic of conversation for him. In addition to that, he loves me like family, and the way he loves me is through worry. He loves me through worry. Now, what I mean by that is that a lot of us have been taught or conditioned to that worrying for someone means that you care. It equates to caring. And when I think about the nature of worry, it's a very catabolic feeling. It's anxious, it's very heavy. And so he's here, we're talking about it more. He's worrying about me. I want to make sure we get you this for your health. I want to make sure you get that. And we're running around and doing errands. It's Mexico. It takes like 10 times longer to get shit done. So we're running around, we're running around, we're running around. 3 days later into his trip, I go to the gym and I was like just feeling so much. I could feel the energy. I could feel all the stuff. I could feel it. Oh no, this is before I went to the gym. And I realized I was having like an anxiety, like almost like a panic attack inside. And I was like, what do you need, Valerie? What do you need? Because it wasn't to sit and meditate. It wasn't. And I just kept checking in and I was like, I need to talk about this. So my best friend and I, we coach each other and I lifelined her. And I just said, I need you to hold the bucket for me. And she held the bucket and I just dumped. And I just was like, blah, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, I'm feeling that. And holding the bucket really means, please don't say anything, just listen. And she listened. And as I'm saying this and I'm getting it out, I start to have my own insight. And I had this revelation that what was happening is it was a stacking for me. It was a stacking of all of this catabolic energy on top of each other. And it's almost like the straw that broke the camel's back, like everything went, and I couldn't handle that. It was like at my tipping point at that moment. And I said, you know what it feels like? And after I had this release, I had a new thought. I had insight. And that's what happens, you guys, right? We're so bogged down. Think about thinking, our personal thinking. Our personal thinking is what we already know. It's our repetitive thoughts. It's the things that we bought and sold to ourselves. It's all this stuff that's playing all the time, right? Most of these catabolic thoughts that we're constantly having, they're on repeat. So in that, after I had that release, I had more space. And in the spaciousness, I had a thought and I was like, you know, everything's energy. And I know that. And I pictured myself, I was like, it's like flying in a plane and there are 100 people on the plane and 99 of the people, all of a sudden, let's say you hit big turbulence and 99 of the people start to worry and project into the worst case scenario. Oh my God, we're gonna crash. Oh my God, we're gonna die. Oh my God. And I think about energy and I go, whoa, that's heavy. And I think about energy and I think about that's all there is. And I'm like, that's gonna pull the plane down. Well, I want to contribute. I always want to contribute. And I know that I contribute much more effectively when I'm anabolic. I know that. And so what I do is I surround the plane with white light. I surround everybody with white light. I start to think thoughts and project positivity. And I was like, and what I realized in that moment when I was telling her this is I said, I'm feeling all of this right now and I'm hearing all this right now. And I said, and I just want to be light. And it wasn't a matter of I wanted to dismiss or pretend anything wasn't happening. But what I became extremely aware of in that moment was my focus. My focus was all of a sudden on what I was perceiving as the problem, what I was perceiving that was wrong and broken about our world right now. And when my focus went so heavily there, I felt so catabolic and I had less tolerance to handle little things around me. So once I had that release, I had movement, I had a greater understanding, I knew what I needed to do in that moment, and all of a sudden there was a shift. And so what I'm pointing to here is this, is that if we look at everything as energy, and we recognize that catabolic energy is heavy and it breaks things down, and we look at the focus, because wherever our focus goes, our energy flows, and we look at the focus of the world right now, this is what we do as human beings. We either project from the past, and what I mean by that is we start talking about, well, in 1851 or whatever, when there was the plague and this happened and that happened and then this many people died and oh my God, and that, and you know, and it's all past, of because that happened in the past, that might happen again. Or we project into the future. Oh my God, what if this happens? And what if I end up going to the store and they don't have, and what if so-and-so gets sick? And what if I have to go to the hospital? And what if I have to, so we project into the future and we spend all of our time worrying about the future. We're worried about what will happen in the past. And that means that our present in this moment, it pretty much sucks. And it pretty much is going to be more of that energy. And I'm not saying not to do your due diligence, but what I started to realize is I started to check in with Valerie. What can you do now? What can you do now that will help you feel safe? That can bring you back into your body? And I started to just get myself more present in the now, because focusing on a projection of a possible future that was all bad, or all the things that have happened in the past that might create bad now, wasn't serving anything. And I also thought about the nature of just going back to Lyme. Lyme disease is interesting. I grew up on the East Coast. I know some of you did. And you know, what I hear often whenever I do mention it to Lyme, especially from somebody that has an area that was prevalent with ticks, they'll say, oh, I was bit all the time. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that interesting? Not everybody that gets bit gets Lyme. Now, I can say it's because of this and because of that, but really, I don't know. I really don't know. I just think if you're supposed to get it, and again, I might trigger you guys, and I'm totally okay with that, then you're going to get it. But I don't think that anyone's cursed. I don't think it's a problem. I don't. As a matter of fact, I'm a living, breathing individual who sees it as a gift. So the only thing that changes from me having something and feeling like crap, or having something that feel good, is my perspective around it. So that's another thing. You know, I'm working with a bunch of different people and different companies right now, and there's a worry of, you know, what if we, you know, what if in work you know, somebody comes in and or what if we do stay open and somebody comes in and they're compromised, and what if I get it then? And then is it my fault that they get it, my employees get it, or this gets it, or whatever? And it's like, you do the best you can. There's no guarantee. No one has a crystal ball to say, okay, yep, Sue, you're not going to get it. You're good. So you can keep living your life. But, you know, Rita over there, you better watch out. I'm just saying, you know, that's not how this works. And I'm just letting you know my own perspective. This is the stuff that's been going on in my head. And I was just like, you know, I don't want to live in a bubble, but I'm not going to walk around being stupid. And so I had another thought. And the other thought was, I've lived with a compromised immune system my whole life. And it wasn't really until, I don't know, I would say my mid-30s that I started to actually, and I would say early 40s, that I actually started to honor that, if you will. But the way in which I honored it was I was kind of broken. And then what's interesting is when I got Lyme, I started to see myself with my compromised immune system as really fragile. Like I was saying, that glass little doll. And then I had a new thought the other day, and I was like, wait a minute. What if the immune system is energy too? And my whole world just went, and I saw something different. Again, all I did was I had less attention. My personal thinking of, Valerie, you have a compromised immune system. You shouldn't leave the house. You shouldn't go to the store. You have to wash your hands 80 times before you do it. You know, that was still there, but I just had a little space from it. And in the spaciousness, it just came in, and I was like, hold on, if you believe and you live by everything's energy, which I do, that means my immune system is too. And if I know, which I do, that the highest frequency, the most anabolic frequency is light, that means that if I keep my light as big as I can, understanding I can't all the time, I can't. I'm human, I'm not supposed to be light all the time. That's not what we signed up for, people. We didn't sign up for the fluffy life where everything's the same, we're in Pleasantville, and we never have a problem. It's not the life we signed up for. If you did, I promise you wouldn't be here. I can't promise it, but that would be my imagination. But I just looked at it and I was like, wow, okay, hold on a second. If I just keep my energy bright and if I stay light, now what does that mean for me? It means what it means for me is going to look very different for what it means for you. Very different. So that's for you to discover. It's not for me to tell you. I don't know what's going to help you keep your energy bright or what's going to make you feel light. I don't know that. But I've learned for me. And how I've learned for me has been through my challenges. Lyme taught me to have healthier boundaries. And I'm only using Lyme because I'm saying it's this thing that came in and shook my life up. That's just the analogy. But it's taught me to have self-honor. It's taught me to have healthy boundaries. It's taught me to tend to my body in a way that I hadn't before. It's taught me to rest. It's taught me to pause. And so the way in which I look at this kind of time that we're all experiencing is to take that and up it a level. Basically, for those of you who practice yoga or meditate, it's taking your practice off of your mat. It's taking your practice off of your cushion into our everyday lives. So the way, again, I experience light, not telling you this is what you need to do because I have no flippant idea, is this. I tune into what I need in the moment, in the morning. I check in. What's going to serve me? For some of you, it might be a very structured process in the morning where you meditate and you have things a certain way. For me, I do what I feel like doing, what brings me joy. Maybe it's play music, maybe it's pick angel cards, maybe it's whatever, you know, I don't know, whatever I feel like doing, journaling. Then I usually move my body. So I do something to move my body. Yoga, running, go to spin class. Then I come home and I have clients. And then if moments in the middle of the day or points in the day or whatever time in the day, I notice contraction, I start to get tired. Maybe I even start to feel a little off, like maybe if my throat hurts a little bit, whatever. To me, that's my body going, hey, pay attention to me, remember? And I do something in that moment, whatever comes to me. For me, it might be saging myself, laying down for 20 minutes and closing my eyes and listening to a meditation. I don't know. And maybe just sitting outside for a minute and listening to the birds, 5 minutes. I don't know. But what I'm doing in that moment is I'm recharging me, recharging my batteries. Again, I don't know what it would be for you. But I'm going to give you an example of how this goes down in everyday life. And this is what happened for me. So I went to spin class, and spin class is something I've started since I got here, and I love it. And you know, this is when it was kind of, you know, things are starting to get heavy around here. And I checked in with my body, and my body said, yes, I want to go to spin. So I went to spin, and I knew this teacher was teaching, and he was so anabolic. He has such a great attitude. He's so happy. And it was like a skeleton crew. Normally it's packed, and it was only like, I don't know, 12 people. And the whole entire time I'm on the bike, and I'm just going, you know, I'm riding, and the whole entire time I'm like, I love my body. My immune system's healthy. I'm so strong. My life's amazing. 45 minutes. I'm smiling the whole time. He's playing music. I'm jamming out. I have a blast, right? And this woman at the beginning of class says to me, oh God, you know, and she said something about, and she's worried about touching the machines and whatever. And I looked at her. I don't really know her. And I go, yeah, it's cuckoo out there. I'm like, stay bright. That's all I said. I was just like, stay bright, you know, because I'm like, I can't talk about it. I don't know you. I can't go there. Anyway, I walk home. I'm feeling groovy. And then I went to the store, and I'm around more people. And then I came home, and I had 2 clients back to back. And I noticed my energy start to lull. And then I noticed I started to have a lot of worry thinking when I hung up the phone with my last client. And I started to worry about my survival. This is common, you guys. It's common for me. So I watch patterns came in. Well, am I going to have enough food? Well, what if I can't get water? I live in Mexico. How am I going to get water? I don't know. What am I going to do? Oh my God, what if they close this? And what if they, oh my God, what if they don't? Oh my God, what if I can't? Oh my God, what am should I not be here? Oh my God, should I not be? And I just started spinning. And I started to watch, and I know that the only place I experience consciousness is through my thinking. I know that. And I knew that I was full of catabolic energy in that moment. And I was like, Valerie, just check in. Just check in. What's yours? What do you need to do for you? Check in. And I started to discern. I started to practice discernment with myself. Like, what's mine? What might not be mine? And I started to allow myself and give myself permission to be present with myself. And again, I checked in, what do I need? And that's when I laid down, and I just, for 20 minutes, I woke up after that, and I didn't even fall asleep. I just laid down. I felt like totally new person. So this tending to myself is something that I've learned. And I'm not a professional about it. I'm not a professional with it. I'm not an expert. I don't always remember. It doesn't always work, you know? Because I'm human, man, you know? And so, but I know at least that something else is available in those moments. And so it's just fine tuning and discovering what we need in moments. And what I can't tell you, you guys, what I hear more and more right now, gosh, it's so fascinating to me. What I hear more and more of is people saying, I need rest. More and more. I just need time. I just need to rest. I just wish I didn't have so much. I just wish. And I'm like, isn't it fascinating? We're being asked to go and stay home and just be home and do nothing. Not do nothing, but just go be home. Isn't that fascinating? I think it's fascinating. I think it's amazing. You know, and you guys, when I think about like the revolutionaries in life, or when things really, like the great things were created in life, it was often through these kind of times. You know, it's like, I'll give you an example by what I mean. Like, you know, it's interesting, you know, a lot of people are now home, and a lot of people, you know, internet's a thing now in this world, and we live through this thing called the internet. Well, I'm watching things getting bogged down. And I noticed this worry thinking come in of, shit, what if I can't have clients? Shit, what if I can't talk to people? Shit. And I noticed the worry thinking. I was like, okay, here we go. Cool, we're here. And then I had a new thought in a little space. And I was like, wow, some genius out there, or geniuses, they're gonna get an idea. And they're gonna take our technology. If there's really a bog down right now, or something happens and there's a jam, right? What are they gonna create out of it? And I started to get excited. It's like the individuals that get excited when they know what that during the hard times, what's going to happen with the stock market. It's the vision, or the way we look at life, like through as the pioneer, or the revolutionary. It's possibility. But just remember, most of the world is not looking at life that way, you guys. Most of the world is going, oh shit, doomsday, the world's gonna end. That's what's happening. That's the highest, the loudest vibration right now. That's cool. Okay. But we don't have to buy into it. We don't have to ride that wave. So being really, really discerning, particular about where we put our energy, who we put our energy around, where we spend our time, what we spend our time doing, what we choose to put in our bodies, on our bodies. That's what's on the docket right now in my eyes. Because from where I'm sitting, we're learning to live according to being more 6 sensory rather than 5. Meaning, it's not just about what you can consume, what you can see, taste, feel, and touch, in the sense of like the money you have in your bank account, the car you drive, the job you have, and you know, whatever. The numbers, the name, the letters you have next to your name. It's so much more than that. And recognizing that, at least from my perspective, if my energy is my commodity, well, I want to really nurture that. And being that one of my greatest values is to contribute, and it's the whole very overused cliche for a reason, you know, the put your mask on, or the vision of put your mask on first before other people, is because, think about it, that's the energy with which you bring to the world. And if that's the energy with which you bring to the world, then that's the idea of filling your own cup first. Like, bring light to yourself. And so that's my perspective. That's what I see is on the docket. And this beautiful invitation of all of these different things that are available right now, I don't know, I think it's pretty magical if we let it be, if we choose to look through it through that lens. I started to read all my notes, you guys, and I hate doing that. So I'm not a note reader while I talk. So I don't even know what I just said really, but I'm kidding. I know, but I don't even know what I do want to know. What I do want to look at for a moment is I'm going to look at the chat, and I also want to just open this up to any questions, insight. I am going to give you some resources to walk away with. But I do want to open up the floor for anyone that's having either a new thought, an insight, something that comes to mind, a question, curiosity, or even a trigger. Does anybody want to bring one of your questions to the forefront, or I can read it? I love the insights you guys are getting, like taking this time is an opportunity. Think about it, step back, learn how this can make you and your family better, and find things to do to make yourselves better. That's beautiful. And then also recognizing it's been healthy for the body and the mind and the spirit to slow down is another thing. I think Mackenzie said that. So I think that you guys, especially, I know I work with some of you guys, so I know that this is a perspective that you've been practicing. So that's beautiful, and it's like a muscle. It's like a muscle we get to continually build over and over again. I just want to speak about just two things. One is that, I don't know if it's going to be two, it might be more than two, but one is to just start being aware of how others are reacting in this time. You know, it's really common in this time to have a lot of judgment around other people for the way that they're reacting, right? Like maybe because you're seeing them buy, 18 rolls of toilet paper. I don't really get the toilet paper thing, so but anyway, the point is not making the other wrong. So if you find you're annoyed in the way someone's responding or reacting right now, perhaps even looking at it like an opportunity to understand, right? Remember, there's a lot of uprooting right now for a lot of people around us, and we're triggering very deep survival skills and survival tactics. So I feel personally that the opportunity is to be very aware of our own personal thoughts and feelings, and really notice that we're annoyed. Notice that we're frustrated. And we get to watch our own tendency of wanting to, talk about that, or maybe even gossip about that to another person, or we start to hold on to it, right? And we're putting our attention, right, wherever our focus, our energy goes, we're starting to focus and put our attention on what they're doing. So we get to catch that part of ourselves that doesn't feel good and the way that we're showing up, and we get to clean that up. In AA, they have this great saying, clean up your side of the street. I love that, right? Life is not, it's not ever about the outside world. Like it's our inner world, our thinking is what is truly creating our reality. So it's really not about what the other person is doing or not doing in any moment. We just like to think it is. So, so let's just, a useful tool is just in a moment, checking in, right? What do I need in that moment? Kind of going back to what I said. So if you notice you're feeling worried, you're feeling tension, you're feeling pressure, right? It's not that's going to affect not only our physical body, our immune system. It affects our mental freedom. And in that moment, in affecting our mental freedom, our scope, our vision shrinks, and we start to get blinders on, and we begin to deal with life from a very limited range of thinking, right? Things like our creativity, our open-mindedness, our access to faith all begin to wane. And what I find fascinating is if we unconsciously, going back to worry, right? If we think worry or the action of worrying is actually doing something about it, we actually think that unconsciously, that it'll keep us safe in that moment. But in my experience, I see that when I worry, I lose my ability to use my common sense and to see beyond the illusion of what I think is happening in that moment. I absolutely cannot see the forest through the trees in those moments. And I'm convinced I should worry. So if you find yourself, or if you found yourself worrying about the virus, just know you're not alone. It's part of the human conditioning. I'm curious though, what if you did this instead? What if you practice getting present? Right? For you, that might be pausing, taking a few deep breaths, or feeling your feet on the earth, or feeling the wind on the breeze against your skin, whatever supports you in getting present. So notice that right now, right here. Just check in. Are you okay? And from that place of presence, what do you know to do? What comes to mind? And if you don't get anything in this moment, that doesn't have to mean anything. It simply may mean that right now there's nothing for you to do except to stay present. Stay as open-minded as you know how to be in each moment. And so from there, you get to take action from this place of deeper presence as you move through your life. So I'm gonna close out, and I know well, I said about an hour, but and I'm also recording this for, I know, a bunch of people that couldn't make it. I do want to just cover a few things to contemplate and think about. And like I said, I will send out an email. So make sure you let me know you want the email, because I sent this out to a bunch of people, although I'll probably have each of yours. But, you know, the first thing is discernment, is really giving yourself an opportunity to check in and just be discerning of, does that give me energy? You can ask yourself even questions. Does that give me energy, or does it take my energy away? Does it serve me right now? Does it serve anyone right now? And that kind of discernment can be extremely useful in those moments. And then also practicing presence. You know, any moment can change. Any moment can change. You know, I know for me, you know, again, like I said, we're a little slower in Mexico, and I'm like, wow, today I get to do this. Tomorrow I might not get to do this. You know, and it's just having gratitude for what is in that moment that I find is really useful, and it supports me, at least in the day-to-day. Tuning in with the body, whatever that means for you, just checking in, you know, what do I feel right now? What do I need right now? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel, and maybe the invitation is to do something different. But if we're going to the place of trying to figure it out, we're leading from a place that's very limited about personal thinking. So whatever that means for you, just getting a little bit of space from your own personal thinking. And then checking in with your focus. Where does your focus continually go to? And just even asking yourself some questions like, is that something I need to think about right now? Is that really my worry? What if I didn't worry about that? What if I just took an action? And so just starting to reframe the way in which you're operating as you're moving through life. Because just to close out, again, there is opportunity here. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to be and feel challenging at times, for sure. But I know all of you, and I know that you are seeing that there is opportunity. And so I just want to remind you that when it gets really heavy thinking, that there's something else available in that moment. So I hope this was useful for you. And again, the invitation of staying bright, staying light, do whatever works for you to stay bright and light. And I'm really glad you joined. And if you didn't join, I'm glad that you're listening, or you get to listen again. I will send this out. Mackenzie's going to help me to send this out. I think we're going to send it out via YouTube. So I'll send you the link. I'll send it with all the resources. And I'll see you guys soon. And I love you all so much. And yeah, just stay bright. I'm here as a resource. So know that too, okay? God bless everyone. I'm gonna unmute you. I don't know how to unmute you, so I'm gonna do you at one at a time. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Wait, before we end, does anybody have any questions though? Does anybody have anything they want to say or questions? I keep trying to unmute some of you and it's not letting me. Oh, because I think you muted yourself. I don't know. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Thanks, you guys. Have a great night. Loving you. Bye.